Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking something truly fascinating. It's a text called A Million Thoughts by the Himalayan mystic Om Swami. And let me tell you, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a total deep dive right into the mechanics of our own consciousness. We're going to be exploring meditation not as some obscure mystical trance, but as an incredibly practical, systematic journey to basically just clear our heads. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, so let's jump right in.
I want you to think about that comforting feeling of coming home after a really long trip. You know the feeling? You walk through the front door, drop your bags, smell that familiar air, and just let out this big sigh. Ah, home sweet home, right? Well, this text begs a pretty profound question. Why is it that no matter how beautiful the vacation, our soul always wants to go back to its source? The author actually suggests that our individual consciousness is fundamentally homesick. See, we are beings of immense freedom and infinite potential, but we get bogged down in all the petty tendencies of our daily lives. Deep down, we're longing for that true freedom. We are literally just longing to go home.
Okay, let's dive into this, because as you probably know, getting to that mental home isn't exactly a walk in the park. The ancient philosopher Confucius famously framed the human mind as our greatest, most elusive challenge. Think about it. We know exactly what to expect from the changing of the seasons, but the mind? He said it's more treacherous than mountains and rivers, and more difficult to know than the sky. It's incredibly complex, it's deeply unpredictable, and taming it, well, that is the ultimate hurdle.
So, let's move right into our first major concept. Section 1, the scattered human mind.
In Tantric legend, Shiva made this really interesting observation. He pointed out that human suffering isn't actually caused by a lack of resources or even our natural desire to grow. No, man suffers because his consciousness is, well, scattered. Consider the fundamental disconnect we all face here. What we really want is inner peace and harmony, but what we actually do is act in ways where our thoughts, our speech, and our actions are just constantly contradicting each other. It's like our mind wants one thing, our heart strives for something completely different, and our energy just takes off in yet another direction entirely.
According to yogic scriptures, we are simultaneously living in three types of space: physical space, mental space, and the space of consciousness. And the text emphasizes an absolutely critical rule here. Our mental space entirely dictates how we experience the physical world around us. Think about it. If you're completely miserable, even a Michelin star meal is going to taste like cardboard, right? True happiness requires harmony across all three of these levels, not just the physical one we spend so much time obsessing over.
Which brings us to a crucial question. How did we get so scattered in the first place? Let's explore that in Section 2, Forgetting Our True Nature. Okay, I want you to imagine a lion cub. Its mother dies in the jungle, and a little girl finds the cub, takes it home, and raises it with a herd of goats. So the cub eats grass, it bleats, and it runs away from danger. Because it's living entirely like cattle, the lion completely forgets its ferocious, fearless nature. So the crucial point is, we are that lion. What the text calls the conditioned soul acts just like a goat. Societal conditioning makes us feel inadequate, right? We're constantly seeking external approval from our bosses, our peers, society at large. But our intrinsic nature? It's blissful. It's fearless. We have immense potential inside us. We literally just have to wake up and remember who we really are.
So, how do we stop acting like goats? We have to zoom all the way in on the microscopic root cause of this conditioning. Section 3, the anatomy of a thought.
Because behind every feeling, every single action, and every piece of that societal baggage we carry is a single, solitary thought. And if we can understand the part, well, we can understand the whole. Now, what's really fascinating here is the staggering volume of what's happening in our heads. 60,000. That is the number of thoughts the average human mind processes in just a 24-hour span. I mean, when you have 60,000 of anything flying through your head every single day, it is completely natural that a good chunk of those are going to be impure, negative, or just totally undesirable. Having a bad thought doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you a human processing a massive, massive amount of internal data.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real secret to handling that mental avalanche. Every single thought, whether it's an urge to go out and change the world or just an urge to scream in traffic, has the exact same short lifespan. It emerges, it manifests, and then it naturally disappears. That's it. That's the whole shebang. Thoughts are fundamentally harmless, and they will naturally vanish on their own, unless we actively choose to cling to them. The source material actually shares this brilliant secret technique used by seasoned meditators to let go of those sticky, lingering thoughts. Whenever an unanchored thought is really bothering you, Just pause for a second and ask yourself, where did it originate, where is it traveling, and where has it disappeared? If you actually stop and ask these 3 questions, you start to realize that thoughts are fundamentally empty. If you just watch them, they pop and disappear exactly like bubbles in water.
But what happens when we refuse to let a thought pop? What happens when we grab onto it and hold on for dear life? We fall right into section 4, the trap of desires.
The text brings up this intense mythological story about the Raktabija demon. See, in battle, for every drop of his blood that hit the ground, 1,000 more identical demons would spawn. Our desires are exactly like that. Fulfilling one desire doesn't bring us lasting peace, it just spawns 1,000 more. The text categorizes this endless cycle into 4 types. We have physical desires for comfort, emotional desires for love and appreciation, intellectual desires for social causes, and finally, transcendental desires. Pursuing those first 3, it's an endless, exhausting battle with the demon. The author argues that only the 4th, that transcendental desire to discover your true nature, can actually break the cycle and set us free.
Now, let's see how this builds into a massive aha moment for anyone carrying around mental baggage. Consider this incredibly simple but profound definition. Expectations are just desires with rights attached. Think about that. When we pursue a lingering thought, it turns into a desire. But when we start convincing ourselves that we deserve to have that desire fulfilled, that other people literally owe it to us, it morphs into an expectation. And expectations? They form the absolute heaviest invisible burden we carry through our entire lives.
The source text points out something fascinating here. It says, the deluded one thinks, I am the doer, I help people, therefore the world owes me something. An expectation is really just a desire that our ego has stubbornly married. We project it outward and we demand a return on investment from everybody around us. And when they inevitably fail to meet that unrealistic demand, it causes immense grief, anger, and stress. So how do we actually unpack all this baggage and return to our fearless, lion-like nature? That brings us to our final section, the journey back home. Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking right now. You're thinking, I can't just clear my mind, it's too chaotic. Well, if you're thinking that, you are in very good company. The ancient warrior Arjuna captured this struggle perfectly. He said, mind is so powerful and wayward that I can imagine containing air by creating a vacuum, but I can't possibly tame my mind. The author completely validates your struggle here. Taming the mind is an incredibly arduous process. It requires unlearning lifetimes of societal conditioning and constantly catching ourselves before we turn those passing thoughts into heavy expectations. But the ultimate reward makes every single step worth it. As the text describes, this mastery leads to actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. By truly understanding the anatomy of a single thought and practicing the systematic clearing of our mental slate, we can actually mend the fluctuations of our consciousness. We reach a boundless, transcendental happiness. We basically forge an impenetrable shield against the miseries of the outside world. Which leaves us with one final, deeply empowering question to ponder today. What residue do you need to wash off your mental slate right now? Remember, you have 60,000 thoughts waiting to run through your head over the next 24 hours. Just let the negative ones emerge, manifest, and disappear like bubbles. Don't let them turn into desires, and absolutely do not let them harden into expectations. Take a deep breath, let go of that one lingering thought that's weighing you down today, and take your very first step towards home. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.